All right, let's go ahead and use the distance formula. So the distance formula tells me how far apart 2 points are. So they might have a diagonal distance on a coordinate grid, so we can't actually just count the amount of boxes between them. So we use something called the distance formula, and this actually comes from Pythagorean theorem. So if you remember Pythagorean theorem, that's what this comes from. So in the distance formula, x1 y1 is just one of the points. It's just the x value and the y value in the first point, whichever you decide is the first one. And x2, y2 is just the numbers in the point that you decide to be the second one. So the first thing I always start with is just by labeling my points with what I want them to be. So if I want this to be point 1, then that means this is x1, y1. I could have labeled this other point x1, y1 if I wanted to. I just have to make sure both of them say 1, okay? So then point 2 is x2, y2. And it's important to label these because you're plugging them into this formula. I would suggest when you at least first start out with these, write out the formula and then erase to fill it in because you're going to have way less of a chance of forgetting something. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. This is a formula that you do have to have memorized, so I put it in kind of that bubble up there so you know you need to memorize this for your test. So I have this formula and I'm going to just plug in these numbers. So this is x2 is 3. When I substitute this, I have to put it in parentheses. x1 is -2. So x1 is -2. y2 is -6. y1 is 2. Now that I've got all of these substituted in here, I can start simplifying this. I'm going to leave my square root here for now because I just want to simplify one step at a time. I want to show you what great work for this looks like because this is what I want to see on your test. So we have -3 and then a double negative, which is a plus. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Then we have -6 minus 2 is -8. Okay, so I just simplified one step. Now I'm going to say 5 squared is 25. -8 squared is 64. When I add together 25 and 64, I get the square root of 89. Now, depending on what context this question is being asked in, they might ask you for an exact answer. An exact answer would mean we want the square root answer. We didn't put it into a calculator. This is the exact answer. The exact answer is the square root of 89. If they said approximate or asked you to round to a certain decimal place, then we could go ahead and say that the distance is approximately 9.4, whatever our units are. We might just say units. They might give you a context where you need to say what the actual units for distance are. So here's one for you to try. Go through it, get as far as you possibly can when you try this one. So then when you come back and check your answer, you know where you made a mistake, or you can see that you were on the right track. So let's go ahead and start out by labeling which points these are. Just to show you that it's the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and make this x1, y1, and this x2, y2. So my distance formula is this. I'm going to write it out and then I'm going to substitute in. So x2 is -1 put parentheses around it when you substitute. X1 is also -1. Y2 is -5. Y1 is 2. Now I'm going to simplify just one step at a time. A double negative is a positive, so I have -1 plus 1 is actually 0. -5 minus 2 is -7. Zero squared is 0, plus, and we have -7 squared is 49. If they said exact answer, we actually could still go further in this case. So just because it's a square root, that's an awful square root, but just because it's a square root does not mean that's your exact answer, because we know the square root of 49. The square root of 49 is 7.